morning and welcome to The Disputed. I'm here with Rick Bayless and Jonny G. We've got a great show for you guys today, and we're happy to announce that we've been picked up by LAF Sports Network, a subsidiary of New Media Alliance LLC. Starting off this morning, we've got our Wednesday morning takeoff session, sponsored by Bubble Juice. Our first topic this morning is the new logo. Rick, I'd like to get your thoughts on the logo this morning.
The logo looks fantastic. Of course, Rick Bayless and Jonny G, you know the show, you know the names, that's who we are, and this logo looks great.
I think the logo is fine. I think it's, about 50% of what it could be. I find it a little insulting that my name is below yours, but, well enough. I'm ready to get the show rolling, and this logo will suffice.
I know you're both excited for us to get a new logo. Next up, Steven Adams signs a 2-year, $25.2 million deal. He averages 6.9 points, 10 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Look, they're paying Steven Adams quite a bit for his 6.8 points per game. He's the third highest paid player on the Grizzly this year, and he's definitely not the third best player. Now, he's got fantasy value if you're punting points, if you're punting free throw percent, but otherwise, I would stay away from Steven Adams.
I disagree. I don't think Steven Adams is overpaid at all. I think he's a big man. He gets you major rebounds every single game. He's invaluable on the court to the team. Larry Nance just got 21, 22 million for 2 years. I mean, and he's a bum. So Steven Adams, he's getting paid the money he needs. It's a young team. Those contracts are all friendly right now. That's going to change, but it's a short deal. I think he'll be just fine.
All right, moving on, guys. We've got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson winning the three-point shooting contest in Japan. Is Golden State going to repeat this year?
There's a chance. They look good. I mean, it's Steph Curry. He always looks good. But Klay Thompson, another year removed from injury. I think the sky's the limit for these guys. Those young players only developed more. They got that title. They're going to be hungry to win more. I think Golden State has a real chance to come out of the West.
Golden State's a great team, don't get me wrong, but the Mavs are still on the come up. Year after year, Luka's getting better. They added Christian Wood. So the Warriors had to look out. I mean, the Mavs took out the Suns pretty handedly last year. And I don't think it's going to be quite so easy for the Warriors to make it back to the championship.
Speaking of the Suns, over Media Day this weekend, Ayton announced that he hadn't spoken to Monty since Game 7 of last year's playoffs. Do you expect Ayton and the Suns to reconcile?
No, it doesn't look like it at all. Honestly, Aiton, with what he said, with his body language on media day, he hates where he's at. He doesn't look ready to play. So no, Aiton and the Suns are a terrible fit for each other.
Yep. It looks like we're going to agree on this topic because reading his body language, like you said, he is not happy to be there. The Suns just matched an offer from Indiana. They paid him the bare minimum they could to keep him. He's and I don't know what's going to make him happy.
Moving along to an injury update, Robert Williams III, or Time Lord, as some may know him by, is out 8 to 12 weeks following knee surgery. What is this going to mean for the Celtics? Who's going to pick up that fantasy value?
I think Robert Williams III's fantasy value is going to be kind of split up among several players for the Celtics. I'm definitely looking at Mifindu Kebengele though to really pick up the points.
Who?
He comes from good stock. He's the nephew of Dikembe Mutombo. No, no, no. And for the most part, I think that Al Horford and Grant Williams are also going to kind of step in there and help lead the charge.
I'm not even going to try and repeat the name of that bum you just mentioned, but he will have no part in taking anything on the Celtics this year. Now, the Celtics did add Blake Griffin, and he can provide maybe some daily streaming value, but as far as fantasy value being picked up by Robert Williams, at the most it might be Tatum, Brown, the names you would expect.
Moving right along, we've got Zion Williamson, looking like a Greek god on Media Day. Do you think he's a first round pick?
Not quite yet. He has not earned that value yet. Now, last time Zion played, he was great in points. He was incredible in field goal percent. but he still wasn't that good in 3 points or free throw percent. That'll really bring you down. If you think of him as a traditional center, he still doesn't bring rebounds. So all he brings is really points and field goal percent. It's not quite first level.
Um, I disagree. I think it kind of depends on what size your league is. I think he could go around the 14 to 18 range. I think Zion is looking svelte. He's looking lean. I'm excited to see him on the court, and I would not be surprised if people reached and took him earlier in the first round.
We will see where Zion ends up in this year's draft. Next up, Christian Wood. Is he the next sixth man of the year?
I can't say for sure if he'll be six man, but I'm excited. This kid is a gamer. He's a scrapper. He's good at basketball. Is the that's the least I can say. I think that he's going to be a welcome addition off the bench. JaVale McGee's not going to play a ton of minutes. He's going to get 20, 24 minutes, maybe. Christian Wood's a massive addition for him. He's going to be great off the bench.
I don't know if Christian Wood will be in the discussion very much. We know that six man of the year is a narrative driven race. So you're looking at guys who've been in it before. Jordan Poole, Kevin Love. And honestly, in my opinion, Kevin Love should have gotten it last year. So I expect those guys to be more in the race this year.
Speaking about stepping up, will Kelly Oubre be able to take a step up following Miles Bridges' legal trouble?
Kelly Oubre has not stepped up in years. His field goal percent has remained year after year at 44%. I don't think that he's going to be the guy who steps up this year. We've seen last year when Bridges was out, actually Cody Martin, who was seen eating great meals in Vegas this year. Cody Martin was the one who took a lot of his minutes last year, so I expect Cody Martin to step up.
Um, I agree partially, but I disagree mostly. One, because Cody Martin was not in Vegas. That was Caleb Martin that was seen enjoying good food at the Wynn Hotel. And second of all, Tsunami Poppy, I love him. I love his name. I love his swag. But lately, he's falling short. And I think it's going to be another year of falling short.
All right, and speaking of swag, we've got Jimmy Butler's new hairstyle that he was rocking on Media Day. What do you guys think of this new hairstyle? Is it going to push him further this year?
That haircut,
Uh,
that hairstyle, it's pretty good. I like it. I think it might be a little bit of added weight when he's going up to the rack. He doesn't really get off the floor much as it is. He is a bit older, but I think the hair, it's swag. He's fire. This he's one of the best players I've ever seen in the playoffs. It's incredible.
I can't disagree with that last point, but that hair is atrocious. He looks like a clown. I mean, look, maybe he's trying to attract Jay Crowder, give him something, something that he can find familiar, or maybe he's trying to change something up to improve his 3 point shooting, but it's not working aesthetically.
And that's going to wrap up the Wednesday morning takeoff session. Up next, can you pass on this player in the first round? First up, we've got Kyrie Irving.
No, I certainly wouldn't be passing on Kyrie Irving in the first round. I mean, this last year, he was a top 5 player on a per game basis. Now, granted, he missed some games. It was a weird vaccination COVID thing going on, but that's over. I wouldn't expect that to keep going. So you have a guy who is a top 5 per game player who missed some games due to an issue that's over and done with. So yes, you have to pick this guy in the first round. He's someone who brings you all the stocks. He doesn't have a single deficiency at all. So this guy is a guy that you have to pick in the first round.
I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on this. I think he's great. I think this year he won't be top 5 like last year, but I think he is still a first round player, maybe kind of bottom of the first round. The biggest question that still remains to me beyond the COVID vaccination and all the ridiculous things he tweets and has social commentary about is he happy? Is he going to be okay? Playing a full season with his team. When adversity strikes, is he going to fold? Is he going to need to go off for a week? and get his head together. Like, we've seen him have to do that before when social justice issues came up. He's all over the place. He's not stable. I personally wouldn't pick him up between, the ticky tack injuries we've seen and the, you know, mental instability in some cases. I wouldn't pick him up early in the first round or mid. I'm thinking somewhere between 8 and 14, 8 and 16, depending on your league.
Johnny, you're missing a lot here on Kyrie Irving. You're forgetting the fact that the Nets, they're still somewhat of a mid team. They're not going to be at the top of the league this year. And when it comes to March, you want those mid teams. You want those players who are really fighting for playoffs. Not only that, but Kyrie's in a contract year, a crucial contract year where he can't show these shenanigans again. This is going to be, he's not a guaranteed max player coming on 31, 32 years old. So he can't play all this again. He's gonna have to have a strong one of his best years of his career on a mid-level team. This is the guy that you want who's shown top five value for a March and a championship winning team.
Good points, guys. Moving on to our next player, Trae Young.
I don't think so. I don't believe you can. I think he's a mid first round player. He's only getting better year after year. He's taken the Hawks to new heights. Now that they've added DeJounte Murray, another threat. He's a threat on the perimeter, mid range. He can pass the ball. DeJounte can do it all. I think it's going to open Trae Young up to play more of a Steph Curry like position. I think his percentages, his averages, they're all going to go up. I think his assist numbers will still stay high, maybe not that 12, 11, but something like 9 or 10. Sky's the limit for this kid. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's one of my favorite players. He's got ice in his veins.
Uh, you said he's getting better. I wouldn't guarantee his stats are going up this year at all. In second half of last year, his stats actually went slightly down, and that's without adding DeJounte Murray. He's a high usage player. He needs the ball in his hands a lot. When it comes to his stats, he's got the ball in his hands all the way the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's not going to be the case with DeJounte Murray on the team. So he's borderline first rounder, and he's one of those players that I can see fall, but still be a good grab once you get him.
He won't fall. He's not going to the second round. Someone's going to grab him mid to late first round. There's no way you can let this guy go. He's going to get better looks. I truly believe his percentages are going to go up. And I mean, you look at his numbers and what the team is doing, dependent upon injuries, they are developing, they are getting better. Nate McMillan's a great coach. I think Trae Young is in for a hell of a year.
When have you ever seen two guards like this show first round value? It just doesn't happen. I mean, you see CP3 and Booker, only one of them can really show first round value. And these are both guys who were first round last year. They have to drop somewhat. And I would say it's both of them.
What about Westbrook and Beal? Do you remember them on the Wizards? It was a terrible team, but they made the playoffs. And Beal, I think, wasn't he in the run for a scoring title? I mean, he was great that year. And Russell Westbrook averaged another triple double. I see DeJounte falling into a better category than Russell. Like, he's just not going to force it as much. I think it's going to lead to more opportunities for Trae.
And rounding out our list, can you pass on the king, LeBron James, this year?
I like the king, but I would also go with the GOAT. And no, I would not pass on LeBron James. You're talking about a top five fantasy player. Why would you pass on a top five fantasy player who's never shown any sign of being anything other than that in his entire career? You're just betting against everything that's ever been shown in the history of basketball if you're not picking LeBron James in the first round.
I'm gonna have to slow your roll there, buddy. I'm a LeBron James fanboy, and even I could see him fall
Doesn't
to the
sound
top
like
of the
it.
second round. No, 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 no. I've been following LeBron since the beginning. I'm Brian Windhorst Jr. All right. LeBron is great, but he has all those same issues you mentioned about Kawhi, having injuries. he's got the same things are going on there. So I could definitely see him fall to the top of the first round. He's still incredible. I mean, the man could have had a scoring title if he didn't rest the last 3 games of the year.
Exactly.
But that does when he's only playing 50, 60 games, like you said, that can be a problem. Now, I don't know how many games he's going to play this year, but ever since that Solomon Hill non-basketball play where he dove into the King's ankle, he's not been the same.
Look, you can't say deny that he's getting older, but he still has LeBron's physique. And if you want to talk about someone who looks good this summer, and I've seen the workout videos, LeBron is looking as good as ever. I would say he probably looks better than he did when he was 22 years old.
Next up, we're going to talk about a couple team shakeups that have been happening this year. Karl Anthony Towns, how is he going to be affected by the addition of Gobert this year on the Timberwolves?
I think he's going to be relatively the same player he was last year. His assists might actually go up a little bit. I think he's going to be playing that outside perimeter scorer like he always is. He's self-proclaimed greatest big man shooter ever. He led the league at one time or another last year in drives. He's still going to have the ability to do that with Rudy Gobert on the low post, high post, on the other side. He's still going to have that ability to drive and to score. His rebounds might come down a little bit, but efficiency shouldn't change. Um, and it may even go up now that they're going to have to commit so many bodies to Gobert down low. And I mean, they can threaten the lob like never before. So it it'll be interesting to see the rotation, but I think that Cat may only take you know a couple position hit, drop to lower first round value, maybe mid first round.
So you're saying he will drop a bit.
A bit, but not too bad.
You know, I think he's in for a bit of an awakening this year. This isn't really Cat's team anymore, and we've seen that with the rise of Ant more than anything. I know Gobert's coming in, but this is the rise of Ant. So Gobert, I agree, it's going to hurt his rebounds. Ant always takes his usage away. We saw last year, pretty much every time Ant had a good game, Cat had a not so good game, and that's not a good sign for Cat going forward and Ant on the rise. So I think you rank Cat really alongside some of the best small forwards in the league for the way he plays the game and is going to play the game this year. And you put him at the top of the second round.
Great take, guys. Next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers. This comes after one of the fastest rebuilds ever following the departure of LeBron James. But with all these pieces coming together, it's easy to see that their value can take a hit. Who's going to be the winner and loser on the Cavs team this year?
So the winner is certainly going to be us, the fans. The Cavs are going to be a great experience, great basketball to watch this year. The loser, unfortunately, fantasy wise, is every player for the Cavs, except perhaps Jared Allen. I think he's got more people to spoon feed him this year, but there's only one ball to go around. You have a bunch of high usage players join it together. It's not going to be a situation where Donovan goes up, Darius goes up, Mobley goes up. These players, they're going to have to share the ball, and we're going to love watching it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree that I am super excited as a Cavs fan to see this team moving forward. I think there's going to be a little bit of adjustment, some growing pains. Like you said, a lot of high usage players. But Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, they're going to maintain value. I'm heavily banking on Evan Mobley taking a step forward. I mean, he's incredible. I think he has so much potential. Darius Garland was a welcomed surprise last year. I think he's still going to be around that second, third round value this year. Obviously, he wasn't drafted that high last year, and he just worked his way up. But
You have Darius Garland way too high on your board. If you're taking him late second, early third, something like that, he's going to fill the Mike Conley role next to Donovan Mitchell, and we know where
wrong.
that was. That's round 6, something like that. They needed Darius to be everything last year. They lost all their point guards. They lost Ricky Rubio. Ricky's coming back. Donovan Mitchell's joining the fray.
He's got no knees.
Darius Garland is my probably number one pick for the guy who's going to fall and should fall in the draft this year.
I don't see that he could fall much further than he was drafted last year. Most people took him around the fifth round last year. He's definitely moved up. There's no way you can say, especially in a league with 16 men, that he couldn't go at 32. I think his numbers, like his efficiency, that's going to take a step. And he's here in the offense another year with these big, beautiful men down low in the paint. He's going to just take leaps and bounds forward. I think if anyone is going to be taking a step back, it's Donovan Mitchell. The guy, he's overrated. He always has been. I think he's a bum, but we'll see.
No, we disagree on everything here because Donovan is the type of guy, and you can't even teach him to pass the ball. He just doesn't know how to do that. He shoots, he scores, he dribbles. He's that kind of player. So he's not going to take a step back. That's not who he is. Darius knows how to facilitate. Ricky Rubio knows how to facilitate. They're going to keep the ball moving, and they're going to score less because of it. It'll be good for the Cavs. It'll be good for the team. Donovan will be, for the most part, who he already is.
I think JB Bickerstaff, he's going to have him playing beautiful basketball. They're going to be moving it a lot, and I don't think that Donovan Mitchell is going to be the one to get the ball in his hands for long periods of time. It's evident that that's not a formula for winning basketball. I mean, he's in the prime of his career, or about to be in it, and he's getting traded from the Jazz for a rebuild. I disagree. I think the Cavs are going to have, as usual, a few injuries down the stretch, and that will give every player on the team the ability to develop further. But I still see Garland maintaining similar value. If you're in a points league, he's going to average around 38 to, maybe even 39 fantasy points this year.
Awesome stuff, guys. Moving right along, I want to touch on a topic that we spoke about last week. Brad Stevens earlier this week promoted Joe Mazzulla as interim coach for the Celtics. What are your thoughts on that, Jonny G? How do you think that plays into Rick's take last week?
I think it's an example of how Brad Stevens always makes the right decision, promoting a 34-year-old man who has 3 years of coaching experience, is younger than Al Horford, and not only that, he has some questionable charges on his record, and with a team that's already dealing with such scandal, I don't think that's a good look. Do you think Brad Stevens did the right thing, Rick?
I smell a whiff of sarcasm in what you just spit there, Jonny G. But I hope it's not legitimate. Look, this isn't just no Joe Schmo. This is Joe Mazzulla you're talking about. And if he wasn't on your radar already for a head coach, you don't know what's going on in the NBA. Brad Stevens picked the right man for the job here, and the Celtics will win the championship because of it.
That's a hot take, Rick.
Nothing hot about it.
All right, guys, I want to rein it back into some Lou area fantasy topics. First up, we just recently had the conference drafts this year between GMs Matt and Ben. Matt has received some criticism following his drafting of his conference this season. After the criticism, Matt had this to say.
I'd say I collected a bunch of solid guys who go out there. They play their roles well, they know what they're doing, and they play it with a fierce intensity on both the offensive and defensive end. I prioritize size, rebounding, and matchups because I'm a firm believer that the offense will come if we excel at those things. Secondly, we got a team of great chemistry on our side. There's a long history between Michael, Nathan, Nick, and Clifford, as well as me, Patrick, and Clifford go way back, and then Of course, me and my cousin Tamer go way, way back. We're going to have a great team atmosphere, and we're going to welcome Elijah into our little circle with open arms. So, in summation, if anybody is out there doubting my picks, continue to do so and come see about it March 18th.
Wow, strong words from our regular season champion Matt. What are your guys' thoughts on his statement?
I think that he's got a team of bums. And once again, the strong will survive. Team Ben has one of the greatest high volume scorers the league has ever seen in Adam. Ben, he's a glue guy point guard. I mean, he's incredible. We have Chase, arguably the MVP. Duncan, he's an end of year game MVP. Joel won it before as well. I mean, this team is stacked. We've got rebounders, we've got length, we've got speed, we've got athleticism. We have sheer overwhelming weight in Jonny. All right, we have two uh two hobbits on the team in Luca and Sanders. I mean, there's no way that we don't get some Jose Alvarado like steals out of our bench. I think that this team is well rounded. We've got stars. There's no way we lose this year.
Look, Jonny, you had great things to say about your team, but those things are just not true. You said Adam's a high volume scorer. Sure, I'll give you high volume. Won't give you the second half of that. You say Ben's a glue guy. Glue, yeah, his feet stick to the ground. He can barely move. Chase,
Lies.
MVP. He's a first half MVP. Given that, he plays well in the first half. But this is not a full game player. So no, Team Ben is not set up to win this game. They have problems at every setup. Matt's team, he chose a team with length. He can run a whole lineup of 6-footers. And that is just unstoppable.
And so can Team Ben.
They don't have a lineup of 6-footers. Adam is like 5'4". He's tiny. So no, they don't have that length. And
you have no idea what you're talking about.
Chemistry. We're talking about chemistry too. Team Matt has long-term chemistry. They know how to share the ball, facilitate, and make easy buckets happen.
Yeah. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how this take ages, because I believe that my team, my take, will age like a fine wine. Your team, your take, it'll age like fermenting cheese in the hot sun.
Look, I love a good blue cheese, and a ferment is always what a cheese needs. So, yes, this take is the take that I will stand with, and I will guarantee that Team Matt will win the basketball game this year.
Rounding out today's episode, from an inside source, we've heard that the council was split between how many active slots and bench slots the roster size would contain this year. Between an 8 active 3 bench and a 10 active 1 bench, the LM had to tiebreak the vote in favor of 10-1. Rick, what are your thoughts on this? Do you prefer the 8 active 3 bench or the 10 active 1 bench? Are you in favor of the council's decision?
This is the first I'm hearing of these allegations that the LM had a secret tiebreak over such an important point. So for that, I'm kind of shocked it's only just now coming out. And I don't know who the source of the leak was on this point. But as far as the substance of it, I would have been with 8 active 3 bench. Because what's the point of a bench slot anyways? The bench slot is to produce an element into the game of choice. You have to choose who you want to put in the game, who you want to sit. If you only have one bench player, what's the point? There's always going to be one player who doesn't play. So I would have been with 8 and 3.
Well, we both agree that this was shocking, to hear about this vote and the way it played out. But that's where we end. I totally disagree. I think that 10 players active, 1 player on the bench, it gives you more points. It gives you more opportunities for players to perform well. You're getting that instant gratification. You stream a player, you make a pickup, they're going on the roster. You need it for that night. and that's what's happening. You know, we still have an IL slot and an IL plus slot. I think we've got plenty of space on the bench, and I agree with the 10-1.
Look, it sounds like the council is split on this. Isn't this something that'd be important enough to at least bring to the league's attention? Why does this have to be an LM tiebreak situation? We've seen LM tiebreaks on trades before, but this is kind of unusual.
It's troubling. It's unusual. We're gonna have to get more insight into the league council inner workings throughout the season, and make sure that everything is on the up and up.
Yeah, where's the transparency here? Where is
There's
it?
none. There's none. It's
And
a council of shadows.
and who's the leaker? I think it is the real question of what this brings us to.
I don't know who he is, but I'm glad he brought it. He brought it to everyone's attention. It needed to be talked about.
I would watch out if I were him. I would be willing to bet that the LM has sent an AG lackey after him.
The goons, they're everywhere.
That was awesome stuff, guys. Another great week in the books. We want to say thank you again to Lou Area Fantasy Sports Network, a subsidiary of New Media Alliance, LLC, for helping produce this episode.
I'm going to go enjoy a refreshing drink of bubble juice. See you all, guys.
Have one for me, Rick. You're going to need it.